Alright, welcome back, guys, to the third and final match for Under the Microscope here with, what do we got? Patriot Aggro, right? So we won the die roll, and let's play first. Yeah, that's a keep. That's definitely a keep. So we got turn 1 guide, turn 2 Stormchaser Mage, plus Mutagenics if we want. I think we'll just lead off of Foundry here. Kind of pretend like we're Burn. It's weird because I've never actually played Burn, but we're kind of putting on a good impression. Cavern of Souls. Man, Goblin Guide has just been so mean to me today. Just giving everyone triggers. Or, excuse me, everyone cards. Triggers always happen. So, Cavern of Souls could be merfolk, humans. That's about it in Modern, right? Probably forgetting something. But those are the two major tribes that you run into. Oh, could be Eldrazi, right? Obviously could be Eldrazi. Speaking of Eldrazi. Look at them going to discard like that. Tisk tisk. Alright, don't think we care about preserving our life total right now. Blue, red, Stormchaser Mage. Let's go ahead and swing in here. And I like using one of these Mutagenic Growths right now. Versus Tower. So it is Eldrazi-Tron. The only downside to not going Mutagenic Growth all in is if they have another Temple into Thought-Knot Seer and then they rip it away. It looks like they just have versus Power Plant. They could also have a Chalice of the Void, right? So that's also, it looks like they're just playing an Eldrazi here. So if we draw some burn spells, it could be really nice. If we draw some land spells, it could be really bad. If we draw like a Vapor Snag, that would be great. Sure. So we're going to lead off of Opt here. Again, I'm going to fetch quite aggressively here. They discarded Dismember, huh? We could keep it on top, but I think I'm actually going to bottom it. Mutagenic Growth, wow. So we don't die to a Smasher next turn, and we kill them with a Burn spell. Again, I'm playing around like a Chalice of the Void here. And land also means we can Bedlam Reveler, right? I believe we can. Yeah. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. So land means we can Reveler, but obviously we'd rather go like instant into Reveler. But looks like we're just getting Thought Knotted here. Which makes a lot of sense, so hopefully we can just rip Burn Spell right off the top of our deck. We did put ourselves in that position on purpose. I think we block here. I believe a Snapcaster Mage is also a kill. Snapcaster Mage. Nice. Let's just go ahead. No slow rolls. Yeah. Apparently you need blue mana for Snapcaster Mage. Target Mutagenic. Wow, is that Xaxes against E-Tron? Oh, baby. That feels good. My opponent conceded. Yeah, my opponent concedes. My computer was just slowing down there for a second. I was like, what is going on? So, Path to Exile seems quite strong in this matchup. There's an argument for maybe like a Stony Silence or two, but it is on the draw, which is a little weaker. Definitely like the Molten Rains. Deflecting Palm is quite interesting as well. Wear Tear, meh. Stony Silence, we're just not that kind of deck that cares, so I don't think we bring in Stony Silence. So I think these are the 7 cards that we want. Against them, I think we want to cut the Vapor Snags. I think those are a very safe cut. I think Goblin, like trimming, like even trimming Goblin Guide seems really appealing to me right now. Like it just gets stonewalled. And cut 1 Swift Spear. I could be wrong. You guys let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but maybe we should be cutting some number of Mutagenic Growths and just keep the Swift Spears, but anyways, that's how I'm gonna play it out here. We got a ton of 1 mana spells here. I mean, we maybe could have brought in a Wear Tear for the Chalice of the Voids, but it seems a bit narrow to me. This hand is great. I'm going to go ahead and snap keep this. We got turn 1 Opt, turn 2 Stormchaser, turn 3 Mantis Rider, and then we also have Deflecting Palm for like Reality Smashers and things like that. Opponent's going down to 4. Oof. That is rough. That is rough against an aggressive deck like us. But how did they scry? Scry to the bottom. Jeez. But if they have like Land Expedition map, like, alright, no Land Expedition map. Do we have a 1-drop? I mean, we cut our 1-drop, so I don't expect it, you know. Alright. Obviously, if our opponent goes Chalice of the Void, we want to make sure to opt in response. Eldrazi. Battery Shaper would be... Alright, so this looks like either a Walking Ballista or a Chalice of the Void for 1. Chalice of the Void would be quite frustrating. Okay, it's Walking Ballista, sure. Still want to opt here. Stormchaser, yeah, I think I'll keep any and all threats at this point. Red, blue. And get in our chip damage here. Alright, looks like our opponent has 4 lands. That's plenty, I would say. Or, sorry. They have 3 lands, but technically if they want to cast a Thought-Knot Seer. No Thought-Knot Seer on the opposing side of the board. Always good for us. Lightning Bolt was a fantastic draw. Do we want to play around Chalice of the Void by playing like Mantis Rider, keep up Bolt? I don't think so. I think if my opponent has Dismember, they can go ahead and fire it off. Here, I think I'm fine getting Island, white, red. I kind of just want to swing for 3 in the air. 4 in the air, actually. We can even block Walking Ballista now. What this lets us do next turn is have our most efficient turn. We can both play another Stormchaser and a Bolt. Or we can play Stormchaser plus keep up Deflecting Palm. Warping Whale. Yeah, that's frustrating, but wow. That is so aggressive. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's go ahead and get a Sacred Foundry here. I wonder if we save both of the Lightning Bolts for like another Warping Whale. So this would be 4, 7, 8. Now let's just go ahead and Lightning Bolt. So we have lethal next turn with this Lightning Bolt here. Alright, looks like our opponent did draw a land, but Reality Smasher just won't do it here. So I thought about keeping up Deflecting Palm for Reality Smasher, but anyways, that's the match against Eldrazi-Tron. Sometimes either you get really close, cheese them out with Exact Seize in game 1, and then they go to mold for game 2. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, guys. That was the last match with Patriot Aggro. So stay tuned for the closing comments coming up real soon. So, welcome to the closing comments. Let's talk about Patriot Aggro. So, did I like the deck? Did I dislike the deck? One thing's for sure, I don't like the deck in terms of recording with because there's not many lines of play, so it's very aggressive, can sometimes be a little linear, so really there's not much discussion of me telling you, like you just watch me tap a Mantis or, tap a Stormchaser Mage or tap a Goblin Guide, like, I feel like that might not be very engaging, but hopefully you guys were able to enjoy the minimal lines that we did have, right? But do let me know in the comments if that's something that, upset you. But overall, let's talk about the actual deck, right? We played against 3 decks. We played against one, up-and-coming deck, we played against one Brew, and we played against one Tier 1 deck, right? So, the up-and-coming deck was Mono Green Devotion, so those were close games, right? They could have really fast starts that you can't interact with, right? They don't play the usual set of, Birds of Paradise, Noble Hierarch, that you can just bolt, and then you're playing at the same speed as your opponent. They have Utopia Sprawl, and it's like, if you don't draw your, one of Wear and Tear from the sideboard in game 2 and 3, then they can get really fast starts. But sometimes we're really aggressive too, and sometimes they don't have that big payoff spell for all their mana. As we saw in game 3, we just were able to apply enough pressure in the air. What's really important, what's really relevant here is that we had evasive threats to fly over their beasts, their Eternal Witnesses, their Arbor Elves, all this stuff. We were able to get in damage over time because our threats were evasive. And I think that's what's really important about Stormchaser Mage and Mantis Rider. Like, Stormchaser Mage's stats seem a little unimpressive off the bat, but the fact is that he gets in so much chip damage every single turn. He gets in at least one because he's so evasive, right? So that's what's great about Stormchaser Mage. Obviously, his mana cost, if he was 1 mana, yeah, obviously if he was 1 mana, it would be great, but you know how it is. So those evasive threats really helped us close out those games, and we beat them in the 3rd game, right? So, and then recap against Red-White Tokens. So Red-White Tokens had a lot of interaction for us. They had Lightning Helix, Lightning Bolt, and they had threats that could go wide, and block our ground game. They had Pyromancer, they had Monastery Swiftfear. Luckily for us, our removal spells line up really well against those payoff cards, and then we were able to find our key sideboard cards, like Is It Snapcaster, to nuke their board, essentially. And with how weak we are to go wide strategies, a second Is It Snapcaster would not be, crazy in this deck. But obviously that was a Brew. It's not a deck you're going to run into very often, but it does show that the deck can at least beat a Brew, and it can at least beat a few Lightning Helixes, right? It can grind through 2 Gideons, so there's power to it. If your opponent doesn't answer your threats, they are evasive in the air, and they will keep hitting you. So that's what we also learned from that Red-White Tokens match. Game 3 against Eldrazi-Tron, we learned that being aggressive is really important. So we played kind of like an infect deck there, right? Like, we just pumped and pumped and pumped our dude. Our opponent had a Dismember in hand, but they thought that 4 life hurting them to remove our threat wasn't relevant, right? Well, it ended up being very, very relevant. They wanted to play on curve. Well, to play on curve, that means you have to tap out. And if you tap out, that means we get in all this damage with Mutagenic Growth. So I think, against Eldrazi-Tron, we saw the power of Mutagenic Growth. It's such a powerful card. It's a free burn spell, essentially, with any prowess creature. And that's a good rate. That is a good rate. And we saw that Snapcaster Mage flashing back Mutagenic Growth. That's a 2-mana Lightning Bolt, right? With a prowess creature. 2-mana Lightning Bolt. That's crazy to me. Obviously, life total is a resource. We hurt ourselves a lot in that match, but we ended up getting there, right? And then, of course, what's really nice about the deck, and let's remember, just because our opponent multi-4 doesn't mean we get a free win, but it is close to it, but it's good because we can punish our opponent for mulliganing to 4. When you're playing a control deck, or even a mid-range deck, sometimes your opponent multis to 4, and you give him enough time and they get back in the game. With this deck, there's no time. Pressure is from turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. we're casting spells, we're playing cards, and we're applying pressure. And that's what's really important. Something about Modern, you just really want to apply pressure at every point in the game. And if you're not applying pressure, you want to have an answer to what your opponent's doing. What's nice about this deck is we kind of have best of both worlds. We have quick pressure, and we have some of the cheapest answers in the format. And we have some of the cheapest ways to find the best pressure and the best answers in the format, right? So overall, we didn't get to see the power of Bedlam Reveler. We were close to it. If that game was a little grindier, we would have. But it's really nice to know that this deck does have some legs. It's very aggressive, very fun. The mana base really, I don't want to call it smooth, but it's very painless. You can have some very painless draws, right? You can have some 2 Spire Bluff into Inspiring Vantage, and that just feels so good. All your colors are online. You can cast all of your spells. You took 0 damage, and that once it gets to turn 4, it doesn't matter if it comes into play tapped, right? Because we're using most of our spells, between turns 1 and 3, and then all of our spells cost 3 or less, except with the exception of Bedlam Reveler, and then maybe Snap Helix Lions. But overall, I think the deck was super fun. I enjoyed playing it. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I hope you enjoyed some of the changes I made to the stream, or the channel stream. But then again, let me know in the comments what you think about some of the changes happening in terms of formatting and video distribution and things like that. So please do let me know in the comments what you think. I'm always looking to improve. And as always, thank you so much for watching, each and every one of you. If you watched throughout this whole video and you like what you saw, but you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I come out with videos 1 to 2 every week. Doesn't always happen, but I really try to. Over break I didn't get to do that, but over this winter break. So that's all I have for you. Again, closing comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.